Judiciary, Budget, Armed Services. Congressman, great to have you with us. Let me first get your reaction. A lot going on today, as you well know. You've been involved in much of it. Justice Kennedy's retirement, how do you feel about it? And do you have a favorite among those 25 on that special presidential list?
Well, I think there are a number of excellent choices that the president can make. And you'll remember, Lou, that a number of conservatives voted for Donald Trump because they knew that the future of the Supreme Court could be at play, could be the very deciding thing that dictates what this presidency will ultimately be judged by with the American people. And so I'm excited that he's got that opportunity. And when you look at just the decision we got today on unions, where public sector union members won't be forced to pay off union bosses just to have jobs, it certainly shows you how impactful the membership and the composition of the Supreme Court can be.
Absolutely. And those conservatives who voted for President Trump have to be feeling very good, because they got an additional bonus, the most successful president in 16 months as president since FDR, and another Supreme Court justice choice to boot. Let's turn, if we may, to this peculiar, even by Paul Ryan's standards, this peculiar vote that took place today in the House, as he pushed forward a so-called compromise bill on amnesty and open borders, because everything that Ryan does has to be associated with amnesty and open borders, and the vote was overwhelming. It was a stunning defeat for the legislation, for the Speaker, and for K Street, the Chamber of Commerce, Business Roundtable, the Koch brothers, and Wall Street.
Well, I will tell you that there are two principal questions that divide the Republican Party on immigration, Lou. The first is the path to citizenship. I'm an immigration hardliner, I'll admit it, and I don't think that people who come here illegally should have a path to citizenship. That is not what the rule of law demands of us. Even if they have sympathetic stories, and even if we create some sort of legal status for people to work, citizenship is not something we bestow on people who come here illegally. Second thing, chain migration. Immigration hardliners do not want to see people coming to this country or being legalized as a consequence of their family relationships, rather than the economic value that they can bring to the country. The America First agenda that the president is delivering on for the American people demands that we put the interests of this country first, not the interests of family reunification over our economic objective. And so I think that the president's right. Here's the question. Moving forward, will we start by negotiating from the Ryan bill, or will we start from negotiating from the bill that got 193 votes? I think we ought to start with the conservative bill and as the basis to go forward.
You're not contemplating another vote on illegal immigration, amnesty, and open borders before the midterms, are you?
Lou, we promised people a wall. We promised people a wall. We promised people we're going to get rid of the visa lottery. They were going to end chain migration.
Everybody starts talking about open borders. They talk about amnesty. This should be clear to everyone now. Let's go to not just the Republicans in the House of Representatives, because there's some awful, difficult issues facing some of those people, not the least of which is their reelection. The American people are expecting this president to build a wall. That's a promise. Many of your colleagues promised to join him in that effort to build a wall. So I'm just curious how this thing gets twisted around every time. How is it that we have seen what happened since 1986 every time you listen to a Democrat promise you border security right after you vote for amnesty? This time, why doesn't every Republican pledge this? There will be no amnesty whatsoever for any illegal immigrant until the border wall is built. Not funded, not appropriated, but built, and our borders secure.
Well, I would go a step further. It's not just the wall that's going to secure our borders. It's going to be E-Verify. It's going to be ending the visa lottery, ending chain migration, stopping sanctuary cities where people can come and break the law and hurt people.
I'm perfectly thrilled with that.
I want to do it all. I want to do every bit of that.
But you know what? The last time I heard people say they wanted to do it all, I witnessed about a 20-year fight over something called, quote, comprehensive immigration reform. Now, you as a practiced and veteran legislator, understand that one of the greatest and simplest ploys in Washington, D.C. is if you can't solve a problem, you make it bigger. And then you can talk comprehensive, and then you don't do anything. This time, build a wall, secure the border, and then we'll talk about how we're going to change immigration law. The American people deserve that consideration, that respect from this president and this Congress and the next one elected. Don't you agree?
Well, I do. I think we need about 30 more votes. I mean, we had 193 votes for a bill to do just that.
30 votes. You Republican. I mean, you watch this president. He works night and day. All of
yeah,
you,
no, he did a great
you
job.
Work like the Dickens too. But I got to say to you, you need a speaker who will work for the American people, not for the Chamber of Commerce. Who will work for the deplorables and not for the Business Roundtable and Wall Street. Do you think that can be done? Because that's what you guys should be focusing on. Every rhino in Congress ought to be defeated, and every one of them should be defeated by a conservative Republican.
Hey, from your lips to God's ears, Lou, I would love to have more conservatives here in the Congress. We have the Congress that we have right now. And look, I think this will be an issue in the elections because, like you said, we haven't delivered on a promise. The immigration was the central issue in this last election. And my expectation is that the American people are going to be demanding a lot more of us in the midterms than we've offered them.
And another issue that it just keeps bubbling up, and we think it's near resolution, if not conclusion, and that is, of course, the conspiracy in the deep state and amongst the Dems and the left in this country who are insinuated into every part of our federal government. And today you had one of the most brazen among them, Peter Strzok, once the head of counterintelligence at the FBI, who was absolutely singular in the mid-year exam, the email scandal investigation by the FBI of Hillary Clinton, Bob Mueller's special counsel. Oh, yes, and you remember the collusion by the Trump campaign. I mean, this guy was central, and today, behind closed doors, you got to hear him.
We should have had that as an open hearing, Lou, and I expect we'll have him in front of everyone very soon. But I was most taken by the lack of curiosity of Bob Mueller when he had to reassign Peter Strzok back to the FBI. I mean, you would think when Bob Mueller found all these text messages where Peter Strzok was talking about his bias against the president, that Mueller would inquire into those things, that he would ask whether or not investigative decisions were impacted by the clear bias of his top investigator, Peter Strzok. And I am just flabbergasted that Robert Mueller didn't seem to ask the basic questions that someone would ask if they found out that their chief investigator was spewing hate and bias about the very person that they were supposed to be investigating and the Trump campaign. And so I think there are a lot more questions for Bob Mueller after Peter Strzok's interview, and my hope is that we can get this information out before the American people with public hearings and public testimony very soon.
And Strzok, did he say anything of relevance, of meaning, substance today? Or was it more of the same? Isn't he a cute little fella? And he can do what he wants to with the federal government at his disposal to frame the President of the United States when he wishes, or exonerate a candidate, a Democratic candidate for president, whenever he wishes.
It was very clear to me that Peter Strzok had deemed Hillary Clinton not guilty before even interviewing her or conducting major portions of the investigation, and he deemed Donald Trump guilty and ready for impeachment after only a day or two of opening up that investigation. The bias not only existed in the hearts of these people, it existed in the investigative decisions that they were making to make nothing of the Hillary Clinton email investigation and instead to prioritize this total hoax, this total witch hunt into Donald Trump. It is disgusting, and we need to put it on display so that it never happens in this country again.
You and I always have a candid and straightforward conversation. This Thursday, you're going to hear from Christopher Wray, from Rod Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General at the House Judiciary Committee. They have defied oversight from the Congress throughout. They have slow-rolled the administration and you guys. How long are you going to put up with their nonsense?
I hope not too much longer, because information that we've requested before they opened up on George Papadopoulos would tell us whether or not the FBI was collecting intelligence on the Trump campaign. We need those documents. It may show payments. It may show records of sources that were being worked. And these are people who do not believe in congressional oversight. That's not my perception of their actions. It's what they've actually said. Rod Rosenstein said on May 1st that there is no constitutional basis for congressional oversight. And so we're going to press them a great deal, and we're going to try to find out the truth. And you know what? If they don't produce the documents, we need to begin impeachment, and we need to have the support of our leadership to do that. We need strong leadership on the power of Congress to conduct oversight, and we're always looking for more help from our leaders here.
Well, your leadership, you need help, but you need help in the form of new leadership. I don't know if we could agree on that, but let's conclude with that statement, irrespective. Thank you very much, Congressman. Always great to have you with us, Congressman Matt Gaetz. And good luck Thursday.
Thank you.
Up next, another primary, another